In this video, we're learning how to factor trinomials when a is equal to 1. So remember that a trinomial is just any expression that's made up of three terms added or subtracted together. So if you look at example 1, we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. And when we're factoring a trinomial, we just want to break up our trinomial into two binomials that are being multiplied. So two expressions with two terms that are being multiplied together, and that'll make more sense once we go through example 1. So when we're factoring trinomials and our a is equal to 1, and let's just remember that this is our a value, right? Whatever is in front of our x squared is our a value. So because there's nothing there, our a is equal to 1. So when our a is equal to 1, factoring is not that bad. So what we want to do is we need to think of two numbers that multiply to our c term, or our constant, so the one that doesn't have a variable attached. So we need two numbers that multiply to this, that add to the number in front of our x, or our b term. So that add to this. So what we're going to do is just write out some factors of positive 12. So the factors of positive 12, we could do 1 and 12. We have 2 and 6. And we have 3 and 4. And these can all be negative, but we don't need that right now. We'll talk about that in the next example. So if we look at our list of factors, 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 plus 4 is 7, so that fits with the rule that we just discussed. We need two numbers that multiply to 12 that add to 7. So we have 3 and we have 4. So now what we're going to do is we need to write two binomials, and we're going to use those two numbers. So the first term in each binomial is going to be x, and then we're going to put our factors of 12 that we chose next to the x. So we have a positive 3 and a positive 4. So we get x plus 3 times x plus 4. And I'm going to show you guys why this works before we move on to example 2. So down here, if we take x plus 3 and x plus 4 and we re-multiply it out, right, we FOIL, well, when we do x times x, we're going to get an x squared. And when we do x times 4, we're going to get a plus 4x. If we do 3 times x, we get plus 3x. And 3 times 4 is plus 12. So this 12 came from our 3 and our 4 multiplied together. And when we combine the plus 4x and the plus 3x, we're going to get a plus 7x. So that came from our 3 and 4 added together. So I'll say that again. So we're going to get x squared plus 7x plus 12. And I don't need this extra plus here. So this 12 came from our 3 and our 4 multiplied together, and this 7 came from our 3 and our 4 added. So that's why when we're factoring, right, we're going the opposite way of FOILing. We need to think of two numbers that multiply to our c term that add to our b term. So let's go through some more examples. We're going to look at example 2. So example 2 is x squared minus 9x plus 20. So again, we want to think of two numbers that multiply to our c term that add to our b term. So we're going to write down some factors of 20. So we have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. But what you're going to notice is these are all positive. So when we add them together, we're going to get positive numbers. We're not going to get a negative 9. So what we have to remember is that we can also create a positive 20 by multiplying two negative numbers. So we could do negative 1 times negative 20. We could do negative 2 times negative 10. We could do negative 4 times negative 5. And if we add together negative 4 and negative 5, we're going to get the negative 9 that we're looking for. So now we're going to have x minus 4 times x minus 5 as our answer. And the nice thing about factoring is that you can always check your answer by refoiling out what you get. So let's go ahead and do that down here. So we're going to check our answer by multiplying x minus 4 by x minus 5. So we're going to multiply x by x to get x squared. multiply x by minus 5 to get a minus 5x, multiply minus 4 by x to get a minus 4x, and multiply a negative 4 and a negative 5 to get a positive 20, and when we combine negative 5x and negative 4x, we get negative 9x. So we get our original expression of x squared minus 9x plus 20, so we know that we correctly factored it into x minus 4 times x minus 5. So let's go through some more examples. So number 3 is a squared minus 3a minus 40. So this time our c term is negative. And remember, we're trying to find two numbers that multiply to this, that add to negative 3. So because our c term is negative, we know one factor has to be negative and one's positive, because a negative times a positive is a negative. So we could have negative 1 and 40. We could also have 1 and negative 40. We could have negative 2 and 20, or we could have 2 and negative 20. We could have negative 4 and 10, or we could have 4 and negative 10. And we could have negative 5 and 8, or we could have 5 and negative 8. And we realize that 5 plus negative 8 is negative 3, so those are the two factors we want. And just so you guys know, you don't have to write out all the factors. I'm just writing them out so you can see the process, but if you can just think of the two factors that add to the b term without writing them down, that's fine too. So now we're going to break up a squared minus 3a minus 40. We're going to factor it. We're going to put the a first, and then we're going to put in the two numbers we found. So we got positive 5, so a plus 5, and then a minus 8. And then we're just going to refoil just to show that this works. So a plus 5 times a minus 8. A times a is a squared. A times minus 8 is minus 8a. 5 times a is plus 5a. And 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. When we combine negative 8a plus 5a, we get a negative 3a. So we get our original expression of a squared minus 3a minus 40, so we know we factored correctly. So let's take a look at example 4, which is k squared plus 7k minus 60. So again, we have a negative c term, so we have negative 60. So we're going to need one positive factor and one negative factor. So I'm not going to write down all the factors of 60 because there's a lot. So we're going to think about two factors of 60 where one's positive and one's negative, and when you combine them together, you get 7. So take a second and think about that, and then I'll show you guys the answer. So we know that 12 times 5 is 60, so 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. And when you combine those together, 12 plus negative 5, you get a positive 7. So we know that those are our two factors. So now we're going to factor our trinomial. So we have k, we're going to have plus 12 times k minus 5. And we always want to check, so we're going to do k plus 12 times k minus 5 to make sure that it foils out to our original expression. K times k is k squared. K times minus 5 is minus 5k. 12 times k is plus 12k. And 12 times minus 5 is negative 60. So we get k squared minus 5k plus 12k is plus 7k minus 60. So because we get our original expression, we know that we factored correctly. Let's go through two more examples just to make sure we've got it down. So for these last two examples, I encourage you guys to pause the video and try them on your own, and then you can watch me work through them to make sure that you've done them correctly. So for number 5, we have b squared minus 5b plus 6. So we need two factors of positive 6 that add to negative 5. So both of our factors have to be negative, because two negative numbers multiply to a positive, but they're going to add to a negative. So negative 2 times negative 3 multiplies to positive 6, but adds to negative 5. So those are our two factors. So we're going to have b minus 2 times b minus 3. And now down here, I'll just refoil this out to make sure that we did it correctly. So b times b is b squared. B times minus 3 is minus 3b, or negative 3b. Negative 2 times b is a minus 2b. And negative 2 times negative 3 is going to be a positive 6, or a plus 6. When I combine my b terms, negative 3b minus 2b is negative 5b, or minus 5b. And I've got a plus 6. So it does FOIL out to our original expression, so we know we factored correctly. So over here, taking a look at our last example, we need two numbers that multiply to negative 48 that add to a positive 8. So one number has to be negative and one's going to have to be positive. And we want the positive number to be bigger because the sum ends up positive. So we're going to think of our factors of negative 48. And we could do a positive 12 times a negative 4. That multiplies to negative 48. And 12 plus negative 4 is positive 8. So those are our two factors. And now we're just going to factor our trinomial. So we have m plus 12 times m minus 4. And finally, we're just going to refoil it out just to double check that we are correct. So m times m is m squared. M times minus 4 is minus 4m. 12 times m is plus 12m. And 12 times negative 4 is negative 48. Combine negative 4m and a positive 12m to get a plus 8m. And because we get our original expression, we know that we factored correctly. So hopefully this video helped you guys learn how to factor trinomials when a is equal to 1. You just have to remember that you need to find two numbers that multiply to your c term that add up to your b term.